You're still watching TVC Breakfast. It's now time we take you all the way to the center of unity for these very important conversations. TJ Suadeoye and Eshamamba Modu are standing by to have this conversation with the FCT Brief. Good morning. Inakwana, over to you, Abuja.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you. Is it safe to say Merry Christmas or Happy Friday? Let me not jump into that, but good morning, everyone. And we are here again. Another beautiful Friday morning here in the nation's capital. And we're here to give you all that is happening on the political and governance scene.
Now, good morning, Nigerians. Just like you said, thank God it's Friday. Just take your time out after now and have a good rest over the weekend. TJ, I'm speaking to you.
Of course. Okay, well, let's go into what we have for you today. Good morning and welcome to FCT Brief. Today we'll be reviewing a development that has stirred intense debate within Nigeria's oil and gas sector. We'll also examine the growing tension between the private sector investments and regulatory authorities, raising critical questions about transparency, due process, and the balance of power in one of the nation's most strategic industries. As Nigeria pushes for energy security, economic diversification, and investor confidence, disputes of this nature test the strength and clarity of our regulatory framework.
Our existing institutions fostering fair competition and stability, or our policy inconsistency creating uncertainty for investors and workers alike. Beyond personalities, this controversy speaks to broader issues of governance, accountability, and the future direction of oil and gas regulation in Nigeria. To help us get into these issues from a labor, policy, and national interest perspective, we are joined this morning by Peter Esele, former national president of the Trade Union Congress, TUC. He brings decades of experience at the intersection of industry, labor relations, and public policy. Stay with us as we assess what this controversy means for the economy, the workforce, and Nigeria's energy future. That Mr. Esele, nice to have you join us this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's hit the ground this way. The oil and gas in Nigeria is one sector that it's the lifeline of our economy, but it's still the same sector that the kind of output we expect, we're not getting it. We have the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, and all that. And in the midst of all these, there are allegations of sabotage by the operators, allegations of sabotage by regulators, and even from the political class. Now, help us to understand the Nigerian refineries that have failed to work the way it ought to, despite the trillions spent. Is it also as a result of sabotage from these operators and regulators, just like Dangote is complaining that it's been done to him?
Well, I would say thank you for having me once again. And the first thing we have to look at is I think we are better off than we were a couple of years back. Because when you have a rot in the system and nobody's talking about it and it's not coming to the public domain, that invariably means you are not making any progress. But when we are discussing about the rot in the system, it means it shows we are making progress. We want to make some corrections. We want to make things to get better. So for me, looking at it, I'm looking at the glass rather than half full rather than half empty. Now, let's look at the various allegations. If you talk about the refineries from day one has been immersed in politics of Abuja, and the politics of whoever, not just in this administration, politics of whoever is in charge. So what we have is that if you look at refineries, let me just take you back to time past. Engineers working in NNPC were responsible for maintenance of the refinery. Then suddenly, maintaining the refinery became a matter for Armed Forces Ruling Council. Then they move on to Federal Executive Council. So you have this, what they say in Pidgin English palace, man no man. And so when man no man come into the system, then corruption grows. And that is also the catalyst of where the whole problem of whether refinery works or is not going to work. When I was Pengassin president, we signed for 5149, which is to allow private investor to come in and run it. But again, the powers that be decided what they want based on their own personal interests. So what you've had is that technical competence was missing, political will was also missing. And then when those two collapse, what you have is that corruption will have a sway.
All right, Mr. Peter Sele, let's take a look at the controversy, the recent controversy between Dangote and the former CEO of the NMDPR. And when a major investor like Aliko Dangote makes a specific and detailed allegation of unexplained wealth and abuse of office by a top regulator, like we saw him accuse Farouk Ahmed, how should government and anti-graft agencies balance due process with the need for immediate action to restore investor confidence?
I think that is what they've just done. Because if you go back to Farouk and Dangote issue, it started way back last year. There was a time whereby the regulator came up and said the PMS coming out of Dangote refinery, a bit diesel, did not meet the spec. And when you have somebody who have invested about $19 billion and you come out in such a way, it's very, very damaging. And you now had members of National Assembly going there and they would measure a new analysis was carried out and found out that what the regulator said wasn't true. That was on one hand. And then number two, Dangote has been feeling very threatened that his investment was not being appreciated. I think in order to climb, Dangote would have gotten a lot more support. But be that as it may, it's just the system. You know, to run a business in Nigeria, anybody who's running a very legal business in Nigeria, please deserve a lot of gallants because there are so many roadblocks that make things very difficult. So if you ask me, I would think the government have done the right thing because I don't see somebody like Dangote coming out and making such a weighty allegation. And the way he said it was he has receipt for everything he was talking about. So the government, first of all, has done the right thing by asking Farouk to resign, and then Farouk resigning, and then we'll move on from there. So the anti-graft can now swing into action and find out if Dangote's allegation is true. If it is not true, then Mr. Farouk can also go to court and ask for some billions of part of Dangote's wealth as damages.
Now, Mr. Sele, I think the reason we're doing all this is because we want to get things right. We want to be able to position our oil and gas sector in a competitive global environment. Now, some people say what has just happened between Dangote and Mr. Farouk is an indictment on the anti-graft system we have in Nigeria. We have the ICPC, we have the EFCC. Now, you rightly said the other time that when he alleged that what is coming out from the Dangote refinery is substandard. When the House went there, National Assembly went there to check, it was different. Was that not sufficient enough to have the anti-graft step in? Do you have to wait for such weighty allegations? And is it possible to just go the whole haul to look at deeper issues in the oil and gas beyond just the Farouk issue? There are probably several ones that are still in there, whether in the union or whether past leaders, so that we really know who has been responsible for slowing down the pace of the development of the oil and gas sector.
You see, to develop a society is not a matter. I don't need to know you. You don't need to know me. To actually develop a society that we all yearn for is that there have to be a system in place. What we are lacking in this part of the world is that there is no system. Everything is run on ad hoc. Who do you know in the system? And then you have a face to everything. And you don't need to have a face. First, before you become a member to hold such a high office in any place, in public service, there's a background check. So all of these background checks are carried out. And once you are found wanting, you are not given such position. So, but now in this climb, what we do is that which party is he from, which ethnicity, which religion, all of these things plays a big role. That does not mean Farouk is not educated. He's an engineer and he has a lot of experience all these years from NNPC, also with Komolafe. So, but the difference here is that we must have a system in place. If we don't have a system in place, we are still going to continue to complain. ICPC, before you hold a public office, everybody is supposed to declare his assets. So that asset should have also given you an idea to where this person is coming from. All his life he has been in public service, so it's not as if he was in the private sector. So until we put a system in place, until when ICPC, AFCC no longer have a face, you know, the system in AFCC and ICPC is that irrespective of who is involved, they will bring you to book. So if we have that, you are going to find out that you restore confidence in the sector, and you also restore investors' confidence. I'll tell you, this will go a long way, because when you have somebody like Dangote complaining, what you are going to have is that the whole world is going to pay attention and see how this will resolve itself. But so far, I think the government have done the right thing.
All right. Yesterday, the newly appointed or nominated persons to replace those that have resigned appeared before the Senate for their screening. And one issue that was raised by the lawmakers across board was the concerns about meeting local demands. That is, they allege that maybe Dangote does not have the capacity to service local demand for petrol in the country. And also, critics have also argued that they fear Dangote's dominance in the sector and maybe a fear of monopoly. How do you now balance this? Do you think that Dangote has the capacity to service local demands?
Yes, right now Dangote is not there yet. Dangote is producing about between 20 and 23 million liters of petrol per day. So, which of course is lower than our daily consumption. That is one. Then number two, there is a fear that Dangote wants a monopoly. But then he's a businessman. Every businessman wants to have monopoly. But then that's also why you have a government. That's why you have a regulator. So it's the responsibility of government to also ensure that monopoly is not allowed. Monopoly is not allowed in terms of laws that you make not to allow that to happen. On the other aspect, but that does not mean you also not support a local company. Dangote is a local company, so he must be protected so that it can create employment, it can help us get forex, it can also help in terms of importation. So whether we complain that Dangote is yearning for monopoly, then it's also the responsibility of the regulators to make sure that that doesn't happen. The fact is that we keep complaining that's why I keep talking about systems. You just saw what happened with Google and the antitrust law in America. It shows that Google will not be monopoly. Apple has challenges. So once we have these laws in place, there is nothing to fear. Now, Dangote is ready. We are all enjoying right now in the sense that I will tell you now the price of PMS is the cheapest in Africa, what we are paying right now, because of the regulation. So in the sense that you are going to have people competing for consumers like you and I, and what you have is that Dangote is going ahead is not ready to make. I don't think Dangote will make any profit in the next 3 years because of this war that is going on between him and the importers. So once they bring in product, Dangote will bring down the price. But Dangote also have other ways of meeting up with whatever debt servicing that he has to do. Don't just forget that refinery is not only about PMS and diesel. He also has a fertilizer plant in there. So we will be benefiting in the short term, but medium to long term is where you expect the government to come in to make sure there is no monopoly.
Yeah, Mr. Sele, help us understand what the PIA says about local production of petrol and also the importation. Because some have said that it's like there are some very powerful interests that want Nigeria to remain a fuel importing nation. Because you keep having the back and forth that Dangote cannot meet so that there won't be a monopoly. Just like you rightly stated, Jonathan, so that there won't be a monopoly, we must keep importing. Is importation an alternative to a Dangote monopoly? Is it possible also that these people who are importing can come together and run their own private refineries? Help us understand the dynamics in the PIA and what alternative do we have to breaking the monopoly of a Dangote?
Once we talk about monopoly, we've always had monopoly. You know, each time I hear people talk about monopoly, we've had monopoly for years. NNPC was a monopoly. NNPC was the only one bringing product into the country for several years. No other company was importing. In the days of subsidy, NNPC was the only one bringing in product. And so, if NNPC was the only one bringing in product, is it because NNPC was adjudged to be owned by the federal government? That's a monopoly in itself. And don't forget, when NNPC was bringing all this product, the country was suffering at a loss. We were paying huge subsidy. None of these importers wanted to bring in any product because they felt if they bring in product, they will bring in it at a loss. So what they did was to now use NNPC. NNPC now be a conduit for corruption. So there's always been monopoly. That's on one hand. On the other hand, yes, Dangote is not there yet. It's not producing our daily consumption. But yes, he's going to upscale until we get to that level. And then you also have Boa. Boa is also coming on stream. So when all of these refineries keep coming up, what you're going to have is that naturally importation will go. But yes, are we going to stop importation immediately? I think that would be difficult right now. But we need to ask ourselves, what are we importing? What is the specification that we are importing? Who are those behind the importation?
All right.
Is it the importation, is it Nigeria-centric, or is it just for personal aggrandizement? So these are the questions we should ask ourselves.
I like the part where you took this conversation to, because the public argument right now is that Dangote seems to be enjoying the goodwill, or would I say preferential treatment from the federal government, and that is why he seems to be having his way. Now, the question now is, who truly defines Nigeria's interest here? Is it Dangote, who is fighting for self-sufficiency through local refinery, or the regulators who argue that competition and import is actually needed at this point to avoid this monopoly abuse?
The first person is the person that we elected. Those we elected are, number one, that should be Nigeria-centric. Example, the President of the Federal Republic. I have no reason to doubt that his thought processes is Nigeria-centric. Then number two, don't ever forget that Dangote is a businessman. Dangote is not a charity organization. He's there to make money. He has taken a gargantuan loan to build this refinery, and the refinery has to survive. So it's the responsibility of the federal government, led by the president, to ensure that refinery survive. If you look at our FDI or our investment climate, Dangote is, if not the largest investor. I don't see any single company coming in and investing $19 billion in the last 10 years. So on one hand, the government must ensure that Dangote survives, that Dangote refinery survives. On the other hand, the government must also find the balance between supporting Dangote refinery and ensuring that there is competition and that the deregulation continues, but not at the detriment of Nigeria, because of Nigerians. Because if you are importing petrol or you are importing PMS and diesel, what you are doing is that you are also using our scarce foreign exchange. You are also bringing pressure on the naira. Whether we like it or not, Dangote refinery has also helped in stabilizing the naira. Because no matter what we say, the cost he imports product and he exports product, and because he's also producing, what we have is that the pressure on our FX is also reduced. But I'm not saying that vis-a-vis that we will just close out the entire market for Dangote to have his way. But Dangote must be given preferential treatment.
Okay, Mr. Sele, many license holders seem to be sitting on undeveloped wealth, because we've not seen the refineries, those who have license to run private refineries, we've not seen them come upstream. We've talked so much about the modular refineries, and it seems as if the impact on the economy is not that felt much. Now, is it as a result of the weakness of regulation or enforcement, or what can we do? We have the PIA. So why is it difficult for these modular refineries, these private refineries to thrive? Is that something we need to fix, despite the existence of the PIA?
Yes, every businessman wants to go for the easier way for them to make money. There is no, when anybody tells me that a businessman loves you, no. A businessman wants to make profit. Is the environment good enough for me to set up a refinery? That's very important for anybody that wants to invest money. And you're talking about dollars here. The oil and gas is not driven by naira, it's majorly driven by dollars. So if somebody wants to go borrow money to set up a refinery, and that's even just looking at what Dangote is going through now, it's not going to help. Somebody's going to ask a lot of questions. Is that an environment I want to come into? That's question number one. Question number two is you have to ask availability of crude. Dangote is even importing crude oil for his refinery. What's the availability of crude? That's question number two. Question number three, will I get the support of the regulators? Question number four is, what are the processes for me to get my licenses? Question number 5 is, how do I raise funds? And at what interest? Because if you want to set up a business and you want to use Nigerian banks, you and I know how many percent interest you have to pay. So when the businessmen need to answer all of these questions before coming in, then we need to ask ourselves, is our environment really, really, really very conducive for people to plow in such huge amount of money? So once we are able to answer all of that, before you come back to now ask yourself about the issue of sabotage. Sabotage comes in many ways. There are political sabotage. There are also economic sabotage. There are also engineering sabotage. And then you also have to come to the fact that do you even have the manpower to help you run your refinery? So these are a lot of issues that need to be addressed before you start talking about people have 40 licenses. Some of those licenses are, in quote, man no man.
So, all right, Mr. Esele, this friction between Dangote and the marketers, a lot of people are finding it difficult to place where the problem lies. Could it be that it's a fear of competition or a shift in their profit margin? Where is that friction coming from?
Both. Both in the sense that Dangote is a new player in the market. And Dangote has the muscle to muscle the marketers out of the market. But first, Dangote was ready to have a conversation with the marketers. The marketers are talking about their profit margin. And Dangote says he's ready to. I know this because I have certain conversation with both sides. Now, what they need to do is that the marketers with Dangote had to come to a table. But they are making progress now. There are a lot of marketers who are now also getting a product from Dangote refinery. But again, it's better now. Their relationship is better now than the way it was a couple of months or about a couple of months ago. So on that scale, they are making progress. But there is need to be more in the sense that the regulators must come in to act as a peacemaker between Dangote refinery and the marketers to ensure that nobody should change. Both sides are after what profit they will make. But my advice to Nigerians is right now, while they are doing all of this fight, let's enjoy it at the pump price because the prices will keep going down in the interim because what we are paying right now, I don't see how they arrive at that price except it's because of the war that is going on between Dangote and the importers.
So the consumers will keep reaping the benefit, but in the long run, that those benefits might not be there. Now, is it possible also, for every system, if you have a leader who wants to fix things can be done easily. Now, a lot of people have said the swiftness with which Mr. President responded to this issue of Dangote and a regulator, it's a welcome development and it kind of brings confidence into that sector. Is it possible also we have an audit of all those who have these licenses? If truly some had it man no man, is it possible with an audit we take back some of these non-performing licenses and give to those who have capacity, so that in the long run we will keep reaping the benefits of whatever is going on between probably Dangote and another marketer?
Now, first, from the way the president acted, what you will notice, one thing is very clear. It's possible that they've been shopping for Farouk replacement. Because what you would have expected is that when you resign, they will tell you hand over to the next person in an acting capacity. But with the swiftness with which the president acted, it means they've been shopping for replacement and they found a replacement, and that was why they asked him to resign. That's one. Then on the other hand, you are talking about licenses. I don't like to bother about taking licenses from anybody. No, just wait. If Dangote comes up and he hit his full capacity, Boa comes on stream, those licenses will just wither. So it is in the interest of those businesses to either come together, merge, and set up refineries of their own, or in the long run, they will be out of business. Now, Dangote Refinery, what Dangote Refinery has done is that Dangote Refinery is a game changer. So if your business model, Dangote has completely changed the business model. Now, if your business model is all about importing, going to get product, Dangote is ready now to ensure that just be at your pump station, he will supply you product. So what you have now is that even the middleman that is going to bring product to you, Dangote is also ready to get that off. So negotiation is also going on to make sure that Dangote don't do all of that. So this game changer that Dangote refinery is left for other marketers, other players who have licenses to also change their business model and decide how to adjust and be dynamic in a changing environment.
Okay, Mr. Esele, at the end of this controversy, what would success look like for Nigeria? You already mentioned accessing cheaper fuel now. Nigerians should enjoy that while it lasts. But what other benefits do we stand to gain after this controversy dies down?
We are already gaining so much, and we are going to gain much more. That we are having this conversation is a product of the benefits. Because before this, whether somebody has children in school spending $5 million didn't just happen yesterday. But we're having this conversation now because you have a new player in the market. So this is also progress. Progress does not mean all the time you have Naira and Kobo. Progress is not just in terms of bricks and mortar. Progress are those intangible things that strengthen institutions. Whether we like it or not, this has strengthened the regulator for the downstream. Whether we like it or not, whoever is going to be the new DG also knows that everybody is looking out for him. So one of the benefits is that our institutions are being strengthened. And tomorrow we are going to have a lot of whistleblower. If Dangote can become an activist and become a whistleblower, we're also going to have so many people having that confidence and being inspired by Dangote. So we must not see progress in terms of bricks and mortar. Progress is made in the intangibles. So for me, I'm happy, and I think we are making progress already.
A very quick one from me, sorry, because now Dangote is slashing prices, but people are saying that this is yet to reflect at the pumps. They are not still getting this cheaper fuel that you speak of. So where is that disparity?
Yes, marketers are saying hopefully by next week they are talking about old products, old stock that they have. But again, this is where the regulators come in. A regulator's responsibility is to ensure that the part of their responsibility is that we should pay what we are supposed to pay. Nobody is coming to rip us off. So we'll wait till next week, Tuesday. I read somewhere where the marketers issued a press release saying that hopefully from next week, Tuesday, we'll start seeing this benefit of price slash. But let's enjoy it. And hopefully there will be we are not going to have queues in this Christmas. And that's also a very, very huge benefit.
Just a quick one in 30 seconds. What do you expect from the government refineries in 2026?
Until I get to 2026, until I see the refineries working, my expectation is very low, because you will not be disappointed. If you have zero expectation, there is no disappointment.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter Esele. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you also for being a part of our conversation. We'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.